RFK Jr. has announced plans to radically change the way vaccines are tested. You mean he wants to do normal testing on them that all the other drugs have to go through? That's radical.
Placebo testing, people that know nothing about science are testing.
That's right.
They know that the placebo test, in fact, I'm surprised to learn that they're even saying placebo because I thought it was implied in testing. It's automatically a placebo test.
No, they don't test it again. They test it against another vaccine. So RFK Jr. once said, not a single one of these 72 vaccines now administered to our children have ever been tested against a placebo.
So not a single one of the vaccines, the 72 vaccines now administered to our children, have ever been tested against a placebo. And I, in fact, sued HHS in 2016 and said, show me any placebo studies that you have for any vaccines. And they were unable to do so. None of them have been tested. And you don't have to sue them like I did. Anybody can go on their cell phone and look up manufacturer's insert, hepatitis B vaccine, Gardasil vaccine, polio vaccine. Do you know how many days the current polio vaccine, you know how many days it was safety tested for, Alan? 48 hours. Sure. The hepatitis B vaccine, the Glaxo version, was 4 days. The Merck version, 5 days. That means that if the baby they gave that to had a seizure on day 6, it never happened. If the baby died on day 6, it never happened. If the baby got food allergies that were diagnosed 2 years later, it never happened. If the baby got autism, which is not diagnosed till 4 years of age, 4.2 years of age, it never happened. Autoimmune diseases, you cannot see those if you have these short-term studies, and you can't see any risk if you don't test against a placebo. And my question is, nobody knows, because of that, nobody knows the risk profile for any vaccine that is currently on the schedule. And that means nobody can say with any scientific certainty that that vaccine is averting more injuries and deaths than it's causing. And my question is, how in the heck can we be mandating to children that they take a medical product for which we do not know the risk? And to me, that is criminal.
Wow. He's now the what is it? The Secretary of Health and Human Services. Now, his FDA puts up placebo testing requirements for new vaccines, potentially hitting COVID shot makers the hardest.
Let's hope.
No kidding. No kidding. Amid a slew of recent shakeups at the FDA, including the agency's reduction in force and high-profile leadership exits, the regulator is ushering in radical changes to how it signs off on new vaccines. Under Secretary Kennedy's leadership, all new vaccines will undergo safety testing in placebo-controlled trials prior to licensure. A radical departure from past practices, the Department of Health and Human Services said in a statement to CNN. It isn't immediately clear which new vaccines will be affected by the policy. Flu and COVID-19 vaccine shots are updated annually to match the latest strains and variants, so manufacturers do indeed roll out new shots based on their existing platforms. For novel vaccines against completely new viral targets, placebo testing is a regular part of the R&D and regulatory review process. Really? Because it sounds like it wasn't. That was his problem. And why would he have to roll out new regulations if they're already doing it? So I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little skeptical of this.
72.
Yeah. An HHS official told CNN the new policy. I wonder how much money CNN gets from Big Pharma. I'm going to guess about 70% of their budget.
Yeah.
An HHS official told CNN the new policy pertains to COVID shots rather than flu vaccines. Flu shots have been tried and tested for decades. Yeah. While COVID-19, go see our other video we did on the flu vaccine. Flu shots have been fake. Maybe we could put a link underneath this to our last flu. The flu shots have been. There's a word called negative efficacy comes up. I don't know if you've heard of it.
That's what we got after we tried and tested them. We learned they have negative efficacy.
Flu shots have been tried and tested for decades, while COVID-19 vaccines are new and must have more gold standard science to ensure safety and efficacy for the public.
You'd think.
For years now, the FDA has allowed COVID-19. I mean, the FDA, which is now which was at the time run by people who are now getting millions of dollars from Pfizer as they sit on their board. You mean like those people? For years now, the FDA has allowed COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers to leverage prior clinical efficacy data rather than results from new trials when routinely, it's routine. There's no long-term studies on the COVID-19 vaccine, but they call it routine.
No, there are. They just did it directly on you.
Yes, that's right.
And you don't get to see the results. But they are doing the experiments on your kids.
When routinely updating their shots to match the latest variants. When the FDA, this is how CNN talks. When the FDA endorsed updated COVID vaccines last summer, for example, the agency said it considered manufacturing and non-clinical data.
What?
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 I don't even. You tell me what that means. Last year, FDA advisors recommended variants for the updated shots in June, and the agency endorsed the tweaked vaccines in August. It's not immediately clear whether COVID-19 vaccine makers, do people still take COVID-19 boosters? Do they actually do that?
And who's still wearing a mask besides fat people who work at the airport? Anyone?
It's not immediately clear whether COVID-19 vaccine makers could meet the agency's new requirement in order to release their updated vaccines by the time virus circulation. So they don't have the time. They don't have the time to do it.
Take that crap ever again. Even people that believed in it ain't going to take it no more. They're just not going to admit they're wrong, but they're not taking that shit again.
Kurt, I have to remind you that the COVID vaccine is certainly safe and effective. And it will keep you from being seriously ill, hospitalized, or dead. You know this.
I thought Susan's dead.
Speaking with CBS News chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett earlier this week, FDA Commissioner Marty Makary said the FDA has taken a look at whether to approve the new set of COVID-19 shots this year. While the statement alone raised some eyebrows, Makary went on to add that companies are being asked to run a basic clinical study so we can educate the population and have information to work with. Could you just do a basic study?
No.
Before that interview, Novavax, it's a bad idea to put the word no in the name of your vaccine. Novavax had a high-profile regulatory mix-up. Oh, no kidding. They had a mix-up with its COVID-19
themselves by mistake. That was the mix-up.
With its COVID-19 vaccine, the company believed and still does that its shot was ready for approval by April 1st. When the date came and went with no action from the FDA, reports emerged that the agency had issued a last-minute request for more data. Later, Makary commented on Twitter that the company was trying to introduce a new product with the study of a different product from 2021.
How they usually do.
He added that the Trump administration would prioritize the gold standard for that. I love how the CNN says the company believed, and they still do.
Oh, well, that's science. Your beliefs, your inside Gnostic beliefs.
Why don't you just quote their feelings? You know, the pharma company.
You know, Big Pharma's truth is that it was tested. Manufacturing and non-clinically.
I mean, the flu shots are the gold standard, much the same way Boeing Airline is the gold standard for flight safety. Am I right?
For great doors on planes. The way Katy Perry's the gold standard of astronauts.
You know how science works. The more you pay them, the better the science is. Am I right? Come on.
Yeah, you are literally right.
In response to the Novavax situation, former FDA officials Phil Krause and Luciano Borio, sounds like they're right from the mafia. Jimmy, that's anti-Italian. They wrote in BioCentury this week that the agency should stick to its normal processes and trust its review teams.
Hey, that's Luciano what the guy says. A mind of your business.
Yeah. Holden Collada said RFK Jr. just revealed that all new vaccines will require placebo tests. This is what Maha voted for. The spokesman said none of the vaccines on the CDC's childhood recommended schedule was tested against an inert placebo, meaning we know very little about the actual risk profiles of these products. HHS is now building surveillance systems that will accurately measure vaccine risks as well as benefits. Here's Senator Brian Schatz. Watch that name. Tough growing up with a name like Schatz. So you had a horrible childhood and you hate humanity because everybody was mean to you. Okay. RFK Jr. has announced plans to radically change the way vaccines are tested. You mean he wants to do normal testing on them that all the other drugs have to go through? That's radical.
Placebo testing, people that know nothing about science are testing.
That's right.
They know that the placebo test, in fact, I'm surprised to learn that they're even saying placebo because I thought it was implied in testing. It's automatically a placebo test.
No, they don't test it again. They test it against another vaccine.
Go on, Chats. What do you got to say?
He wants to require placebo testing for all vaccines, even those for well-researched diseases like measles and polio. That's not what he said. In fact, that's not what I said. I read in this article.
Let's do that too.
I say let's do that too, but the article said it's for all new vaccines going forward. That's what I was told. That's what that article said. So guess who's giving you the misinformation? It's the senator. This is the government, of course. This is a dangerous move. I mean, having safety testing on new drugs, new vaccines. Really? That's dangerous?
It's counterintuitive, Jimmy.
This is, yes. That will undermine trust in vaccines. No, it will actually give you more trust. Do the exact opposite.
Senator, can you explain how that would undermine my trust, that knowing that you tested the thing before you put it in my body?
How is
that would undermine trust?
Kaylee means here's RFK Jr. will order placebo testing for new vaccines, alarming health. That alarms health experts. Really? Kaylee Means says, can someone please explain to me why health experts would be alarmed at conducting science on new drugs?
Because the numbers ain't good, Kaylee. That's why the numbers ain't going to be no good.
We can't run the risk of not poisoning someone.
Hey, does anybody still think America and American democracy is real? You're a real idiot if you do. Because
yes,
I can never forget this shit from the last 3 years I've been watching them do. And how many ways they got to tell you that they want to literally they hope you at least just die from an experiment, or your kids do, and they don't want you to have anything. I mean, they're saying it to your face every day.
I'm all for safety testing of vaccines. I don't
extreme, Jimmy.
I know that sounds radical and extreme.
Oh, so you want the kids to have tested vaccine? Oh, well, let me guess. You think they have a right to water?
All right, be honest. Have you noticed yourself moving slower, avoiding stairs, feeling stiff in the morning? If you know what I mean. If so, pay attention. The truth is, mobility doesn't just vanish overnight. It's slow decline. It's a slow decline. And before you know it, you're the guy making weird noises every time you get off the couch. But by the time you pay those grunts enough attention, it can feel too late. But it doesn't have to be. That's where Juvent comes in. This isn't some gimmick or magic pill. It's a clinically proven device that uses safe, low-impact micro vibrations to strengthen your bones, improve your circulation, and keep your joints working the way they're supposed to. Notice I said micro vibrations. This isn't like those other shake plates on the market, which, by the way, can be extremely dangerous. I stand by my Juvent, and I stand on my Juvent for at least 20 minutes a day. I use it. I was using it before they were an advertiser on the show. It was recommended to me by Pierre Corey because it creates stem cells. It helps your joints, your bones. You know, I have a bone problem. And it's made a noticeable difference in how I feel. It's like giving your body a tune-up before it completely breaks down. Athletes, doctors, even NASA use this thing. And it's good enough. It's good enough for astronauts. It's good enough for me, especially lady astronauts. With a 10-year limited warranty, financing options, and the ability to use FSA funds, it's never been easier. So don't wait until your knees sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies. Get a Juvent today. Go to juvent.com/Dore and start moving like you're supposed to. That's JUVENT.com/DORE. Use the code DORE for $300 off at checkout. Your joints will thank you. Trust me. Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Bakersfield, San Jose, California, Buffalo, New York, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.